to the den. Big talk, no bark. Welcome to the den. Kings don't flinch, we don't follow trends. Truth gets raw when the lions defend. So take a seat, speak up where the real men vent. Mic on fire, wisdom in the pen. Respect ain't given, gotta earn it in the den. No mask, no lies, no safe pretend. This ain't a show, it's the lion's den. I've been stamped up, borders don't bind me. Dropping truth bombs from Ghana to the Thai seas. YouTube sold you dreams of beach queens and flights, but I show you real talk, not thumbnails and hype. Ain't about flexing, I'm exposing the game, where culture meets choices, not clout for fame. Black man travels, I elevate the route, not just girls in the frame, but what manhood's about. Borders don't bind me, dropping truth bombs from Ghana to the Thai seas. YouTube sold you dreams of beach queens and flights, but I show you real talk, not thumbnails and hype. Ain't about flex, I'm exposing the game, where culture meets choices, not clout for fame. Black man travels, I elevate the route, not just girls in the frame, but what manhood's about. What manhood's about. What manhood's about. I'm fearless with the data, cut from a rare breed. Cyber-trained vet with the tools that you need. Break bread on the mic, blueprinting your mission. From crypto to code, I decode your position. Been married 7 deep, still sharp as a tack. Talk legacy, freedom, how to never look back. Podcast ain't therapy, it's elite consultation. You step in here, respect the conversation. Warrior poet, seasoned vet with scars and lessons. Call me Ronin, lone wolf, but I lead the pride. Gulf War scars and a sharper mind. From Somalia's heat to boardroom biz, I've lived 10 lives just to speak like this. PTSD in my rear view, still moving with poise. Now I show these young kings how to silence the noise. No gimmicks, no scripts, just war-tested truth. This ain't YouTube clout, this is mentoring youth. Big talk, no bark, welcome to the den. Alpha minds only, we don't blend in. Voice to the voiceless, fatherhood and grit. Step to the mic and don't ever quit. And don't ever quit. Welcome to the den. Welcome to the den. Alpha minds only, we don't blend in. Voice to the voiceless, fatherhood and grit. Step to the mic and don't ever quit.
Yo, I don't feel right about that, man, because that's not the intro we were supposed to have, bro. We had the wrong intro. Is the lion. We just did Lions Den. We're not on Lions Den right now. So I got to run this back for more time to get up in here because we announced the wrong show. So we're gonna play this one and we'll be right back with you.
No filter, no fear. Truth gets wild when the lions appear. Street to sky, we breaking the frame. Ronin and fearless, remember the name. Sin reglas, sin miedo, directo al grano. Estos hombres hablan fuego, hermano. Tunay ang usapan, walang takasa. Hit and run, walang attack. Hindi to mi era budake. Hit on line. Shumi maritando. Hito ang panda. Creole soul, Baltimore to the Gulf blaze. 8 tours deep, now I spit truth that slays. Ronin travelers, I move like a shadow. East meets west, fake fists and ammo. From Somalia's tarmac, the passport place I bring
bring that old school grit with the new school blaze. Now it's red pills and rituals, therapy nights. We talk God, grind, girls and gun rights. Say my name, Ronin, the nomad vet. Mind sharp like the blade, no regrets. Lord, Father, crypto, mine and gear. From data wars to Dominican beer. Fearless the channel, the code, the key. Where warriors speak what the cowards won't see. I bring calm to chaos, facts to the cap. Run a chessboard life, no tick-tock trap. Thursday therapy, kings get they say. Now it's hit and run, we ain't come here to play. It's hit and run, no filter, no fear. Truth gets wild when the lions appear. Street the sky, we break in the frame. Ronin and fearless, remember the name. Sin reglas, sin miedo, directo al grano. Estos hombres hablan fuego, hermano. Tunay ang usapan, walang kakasa. Hit and run, walang atras. Shinjitsu no michi wa budake. Hito elan. Sumiman tanda. Hito ang tanda.
Yo, now that's the proper
Like
intro. What? Yeah, I gotta make you white skinned, not light skinned. Yeah, I gotta make you white skinned, not light skinned.
No.
I'm the light skinned. I even put a little more color on me, but we're gonna mess around that AI a little bit better. Welcome back to everybody. I know this is part 2 of a live we did earlier. Actually, Fearless did the lead on the live earlier. So I'm going to endure and try to take the lead tonight, or actually this morning for you guys there. And we're going to continue on with part 2 of the Charlie Kirk saga when it comes to his assassination, his life, his upbringing, the comments, and how he galvanized the U.S. space when it comes to political conversation and rhetoric. Really, a lot of the things he said, and you'll hear some had basis in facts, but a lot of them weren't pinpointed in true rooted facts, because people like to skew the truth. It's all a sense of it's all a level of perception anyway. But when you have somebody that totally leaves things out and don't want to acknowledge certain things that happen in history, now you got a whole nother type of conversation you're trying to have with somebody in a public forum. Charlie was also known as somebody, as an older person, wanting to argue and have conversations with younger minds. Not that that's a bad thing. It challenges younger minds to step up and actually put back the facts that maybe he was leaving out. But they were easily distracted. There was a couple young men, and I got one that I have lined up, that were able to rise to the challenge. And at that point, he become disingenuous when he felt like he was in a box. He would skip over that question and go right to his talking points to get you off your key. So I don't know if anybody's heard of Toastmasters, if anybody's done debates in high school. This guy was well known through his association that he had built. Co-founder was Turning Point USA. This young man formulated that nonprofit when he was 18 years old. The way he started to formulate Turning Point was through his mentor. And his mentor heard him speaking at a engagement where all these students came in and were challenged to describe as a young person what they felt the Tea Party was. And Bill was so impressed with Charlie that he asked him, hey, I need to get with you. We need to sit down and talk. You galvanized the room, meaning he had sat there and listened to 7 presentations from younger individuals about what the Tea Party was and how to describe it. And the minute Charlie got on the stage, he had the personality, he had that thing, that's Zenequa type of thing that was going on, to where he instantly woke up the room. Everybody was falling asleep on these descriptions and the commentary and everything else until Charlie walked in the room. So that's where people pick up whether you got a personality, where you got that one it factor, and they enhance it. So Charlie at the time was only going to a community college, and he barely was doing that. So he wound up dropping out of community college. And some of his bios, he said, yeah, he was headed to Baylor. He was not. He was at a community college. Well spoken. Obviously, you've heard him speak. And his mother, like I was saying earlier, was a mental health counselor. His father was an architect. So he came from a good enough background where he didn't have to necessarily go to college to make it. He knew enough people in the communities and everything else. Great, bright speaker enough that, you know, he galvanized and got the attention of the right people. And from what I found with his research, he was in the pocket. He could have went into politics. You know, he could have done a lot of things in the political arena, especially with his talking points that he was going over with. And he had the attention of the nation. Obviously, if you're looking at a guy that just passed away at 31 years old and the president is putting the flag at half mast, he obviously knew a lot of people in the political arena, from the Speaker of the House currently sitting to the President of the United States. A lot of people have recognized him and said that they had really good conversations. Even the governor, Gavin Newsom from California, also knew him, had him on his podcast and everything else, and they had opposing views. So it got to a point where it was they had to agree to disagree. And that's the big thing that me and Fearless will sit here and say. We can have galvanized conversations. We can have conversation when me and Fearless are on each other. But we brothers at the end of the day. It ain't going to come down to blows. It ain't going to come down to anything but their words. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I remember growing up, it used to be sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We have become so sensitive with the usage of words and not being able to communicate well enough that people are literally picking up guns because you said something wrong, instead of being able to defend themselves by commenting back, retorting. All right. So we're going to have a great conversation. We're not going to try to drag this out. This is a hit and run episode. So we're going to try to keep it within an hour and a half. We might open up a panel. We might not. I think Drew G had some challenging things that he wanted to bring up. I'm waiting to see if he's going to show up for this hit and run, and then I'll bring him up. I have some videos he wanted me to download and prep for him. So I did all the prep work while you guys were asleep. As you can see, it's dark behind me, so it's 11 o'clock at night. So I sure enough ain't trying to hang out with y'all when I got something warm in that bed on the other side of this wall. You get what I'm saying? All right. So we're going to go ahead and start. I don't know, Fearless, you want to have any opening statements? We can run into these videos, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, real quick. I think we covered a lot of this yesterday, so I won't get too much into it. So please go watch the video from yesterday on some things that we stated. One thing I will say is, I do not condone death on anyone. To take someone's life over what they say is ridiculous. But I do hate the hypocrisy. This is the hypocrisy that I hate. I hate when people say, oh, man, it's just speech. You should have the freedom of speech and no consequences. Well, that's fine and all, and there shouldn't be. But if we live by that and you believe in what he said, then why are people getting fired for their free speech of what they say about him? You can't say that he has free speech and he's allowed to talk and you would love to listen to what he says. But if you have an opposing view and you say something different and you are spitting your free speech, you get fired for that. It becomes hypocrisy. Another thing I say is, man, he left behind, what about his wife and children? Man, that is a tragedy. I would never want to see, someone's life being left and their children growing up orphans because of what happened to their father. But you can't say that in one hand and then we go kill other people in the other hand. And like I said yesterday, Osama bin Laden had a wife and children, but we didn't care about that. Saddam Hussein had 2 sons. Didn't care about that. So you can't have this hypocrisy where in one thing we say it's sad that he dies and he leaves behind a wife and children, and we feel sympathy for that. And then on the other hand, we kill other people and we have no sympathy for him. Another point that I brought up was like Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum had a show where he bawled out, he cried. He said, "This is my friend. I know him. We talked, maybe we had different views, but he broke down, cried on camera." I can understand you're close to someone and you know someone and you cry. Not an issue with that. What I'm appalled by is we can cry and have sympathy, even on Officer Tatum and other people. We can cry, we can have sympathy, we can say all these things and these great things about the one person who died. Yet these same people never had any empathy or sympathy for the thousands of Palestinians who died. They actually talked against this. For the thousands of other people who died, they just said that was collateral damage. Even Charlie Kirk stated, I understand that, there's 50,000 gun violence a year. And those are necessary deaths for me to keep my gun. All right. The problem always becomes those people are the necessary deaths. Those people are the casualties. When it becomes you and your family, it becomes thought. Different thought. You don't want your family to be a part of the 50,000 that had to sacrifice themselves for gun violence. You don't want your family to be the people that say, "Oh man, we don't need these safety rules or these certain things, and how we drive a car drunk or whatever. That's just part of the process." As they say, in order to make an omelet, you have to break a few eggs. The problem is you don't want to be the egg that's broken. It's always good to put it on someone else. And that's the hypocrisy that I hate. And that is within this what I don't like, because it's easy to say those people. And Charlie Kirk did a lot of those people. And I'll say this story real quick. A lot of times what happens, I remember I was in class, and when you have a perception of something, that's all you ever see. Class of 100 people, there was maybe like 5 blacks. So you know who the teacher watched for cheating? He always watched the black people. It was always like he's keeping an eye on the black folks. Then some scores get turned in, and coincidentally, 75% of the white folks had the same score in the same test. None of the black people did, because they weren't a part of the loop. They were cheating, but he couldn't see that because his focus was only on the black people. And if you only focus on a certain people, you become blind to everyone else. Charlie Kirk and his crew focused on black, trans, things in the black community. Wow. It was actually a white person who was a Republican, who was radical, who was a gun advocate, who took his life. Sometimes when we look one way, we become blind to the other. Go ahead, brother. We can jump into it.
All right. I'm going to play this verse video. Now, this video I'm going to set up. Charlie likes to go to college campuses. Sometimes he picks some of the lower brow college campuses. And sometimes he steps on some of those upper class, well-educated, you shouldn't have stepped up in here because we were prepared for your type of take this ass whooping and this tongue lashing. All right. So this is Cambridge. These Londoners, or these people from over across the pond, they know our history just as well as we know our history. Sometimes even better. And they tongue lashed the hell out of Charlie. I don't think he wanted to go back after all these videos I'm going to play for you. But here we go.
So many ancient and recent societies embrace same-sex relationships and even the idea of third genders well before Western conservatism even existed. So when you claim that modern conservative values represent some kind of universal, objective moral truth, like you said on your chair over there, aren't you just defending a selective, historically recent ideology that erases most of human history and targets people who have always been part of it?
Can you point to me a great power that endorsed same-sex marriage, not cohabitation, but marriage?
Ancient Mesopotamia.
As marriage, as recognized.
As marriage that exists.
Recognized by the state.
100%.
And how did that work out for them?
It worked out perfectly fine. It was an accepted norm of society.
Okay, I still think it's wrong.
Did that video freeze? Or did it play?
No, it was playing. It was playing. Yeah. So
Okay.
if it did not fit into his, but that's how it always is with anyone who has talking points. Whenever the narrative does not fit, it's just like, well, it's I just don't believe it.
Right.
When they offer the proof, they want you to believe it. But when you offer proof back and say, well, this is the proof, I just don't believe it.
Or the other tactic when you get into arguments and debates, and you will even hear that on panels and everything else. One person will spot out some kind of outlandish shit and won't show any kind of documentation or any kind of proof to prove their point. But the minute you do it to them, show it to me. That's their comeback. Show it to me. Why do I have to show you any documentation when you never showed me anything that you said? Now all of a sudden you're trying to control me and my facts and discredit them by me having to prove to you that way, where you could say anything you wanted and you didn't have to prove any of the facts that you just spouted out of your mouth. It has to go both ways, and that's why you got to have a agreement when you have a conversation. And we said this morning, when somebody doesn't want to acknowledge facts through historical documentation as truth, you're already fighting an uphill battle. Because you got to fight uphill verbally to get him to acknowledge things that have already been documented. Why should you have to do that?
Because that's how it always is. The evidence that you have to show is always greater than the evidence they have to show.
Exactly.
And that goes in any type of they do it all the time, even in politics, where if one side does something, it's, oh man, that was bad. But in the next turn, they can do the same thing. And I think that's what Charlie Kirk did, where he could spout things. Now take it. I'm not talking, and they always say don't talk ill of the dead. But I don't know how you can't not talk ill of someone. I have the ability to separate Charlie Kirk, the family man who is a father, and then go against some of the rhetoric that he says. That doesn't mean I don't like him. I don't know him as a person. But some of the rhetoric I didn't like. Some of it I was accepting with. He talked about marriage. He talked about having a father in the home. He talked about having a great support system. Even in one clip I think I had where he said the family was destroyed in 1960 when the government came in to support. He said family. He said people. I can agree with all that. What happens where I don't agree is where he would say the blacks are the problem. Yeah, that becomes an issue when you only center out that specific race. If I can look at data, because he was a data person, or he claimed to be. If I can look at data and I can say, well, since 1960, the marriage rate has gone down in America. That means Asian, Hispanic, black, white, all the marriages have gone down. All the women having children out of wedlock has gone up. Why just state black people? Why state the black people have committed murders? Why state that the black people are having children out of wedlock when the epidemic is all of the United States, basically all across the world, is having the same issue? So when you single out those people, it lets me know you're not trying to assist. You're not trying to help. You're trying to demonize. And that's what he was good at, the demonization.
Absolutely. Here's the next tongue lashing from the Cambridge visit. We're going to go ahead and go into that one.
Justification for the death of innocents cannot be an infinite cycle of bloodlust. It cannot be killing tens of thousands of innocent civilians with a war with no end in sight, people who are not complicit in those atrocities. It cannot be bombing hospitals which children use. It cannot be bombing hospitals in which cancer patients are dying and starving in there. The deaths that have been inflicted, nobody knows the true toll, but somewhere between 50 and 100,000 people lie dead under the rubble.
Can you tell me what African country is currently ongoing a civil war?
Believe it or not, I know about Sudan.
Okay,
I'm
good.
not an idiot.
What Southeast Asian country has an ethnic cleansing going on right now?
Myanmar.
Good. And you have strong opinions on both sides?
Unlike you, I take an effort to be informed about foreign policy and to come to conclusions. You are a culture warrior. I will be glad that I will not have been somebody who has defended the genocide of the Palestinian people. When everything is done, Mr. Kirk, people will see you and the people you supported as corrupt.
Difference.
You will have to reckon with that.
Difference,
Mr. Kirk.
is when.
What if-ism? That is what he was trying to do. What if-ism, meaning he basically said, you know, there's a genocide going on in Israel, and how he tried to counter to say, well, what other genocides are going on? And the guy let him know that I know about other genocides. I'm a humanitarian. I don't want the genocide in Sudan. I don't want the genocide in Asia. I don't want the genocide in Palestine. And when he got confronted on that, there was nothing he could say, because what he wanted to say was, oh, you only concern yourself with Israel. And the guy is saying, no, I concern myself with it all. And so if you say, I don't want to see killings anywhere, there's no rebuttal. And how can you say that you have these Christian values and you believe, now here's the thing, most Christians have a Christian value that is New Testament, not Old Testament. We're not going to get religious here, but that love thy neighbor, do things for thy neighbor, not that I want to kill everybody in here. And it becomes so hypocritical. And that's why people don't like to either listen to religion, they don't like to listen to politics, because they talk with a forked tongue to say, oh, I care about life. No, but not those lives. Those, you know, we can kill all them. Those are the innocent people. Well, you know, if Charlie Kirk was innocent, if Charlie Kirk could have an out-of-body experience and look what happened to him, what would his reaction to him being killed be? That's what I would like to know. Would he say, well, you know, that's just an innocent life. They were part of the crew. Everybody, like we always say, women and children first, after you. You know, when you're on the boat, women and children first, after me. So I'm willing to sacrifice everybody else after me.
Yeah, make it make sense.
It can't make sense.
But like I said, here's the thing. Now, if you want to chronologically think about this, like I said, Charlie Kirk didn't go to college. He was groomed for these talking points. This Bill Montgomery guy pulls him out of college and say, hey, you got that it factor. You know how some people say, go into a cocoon for 90 days, hit it hard, study, do what you need to do, and then resurface. Believe me, they polished this young man up while they were doing this turning point thing and building up his nonprofit. Matter of fact, Bill has a video out, and if we have time, I'll go through it, but I don't think we need to. He basically was saying how he took that young man around the country to speaking engagements. And since he was only 18 years old, didn't have a credit card, didn't have anything, Bill was on the road with him. This is your mentor. This is an older gentleman, businessman, entrepreneur, teaching you the art of the sale, the art of the pitch, the art of how to read people in a room and how to turn a phrase so that you can keep and galvanize the situation to your ability, not to address things. So you heard the young man address Palestine, right? Now, did you notice when we played a video earlier, he didn't want to even recognize Palestine, but he couldn't make that argument in that room because they wouldn't let him. So it depends on the level of people. So I guarantee you the coach, his mentor was like, yo, we're not even going to touch Palestine anymore. We're not even going to acknowledge Palestine as being a reality. They're going to be an alternate universe type of person or community in our book moving forward. So when you start taking L's in a certain conversation, you start to avoid that conversation altogether, and you go into a denial phase. And that's what he did in order to perfect his speech, to perfect his pitch. You get what I mean? And in the sales organizations and everything else, we call it a pitch. You got an elevator pitch, you got a long-term pitch, you got all kind of pitches depending on the type of situation you're in, and you're reading the room and the type of people you're talking to.
But we have a person that comes onto the show, and I think they do the same thing. And I noticed that when we had a panel last week, and I love my man Nack Measy, but when he was cornered about a question, his thing was, I'm not going to answer the question. You're not going to corner me. And so what happens is when you go into rooms where people don't question you, or they don't follow through with the next question, then it seems like you won. And just to go back, Nack Measy was saying, oh, you know that you're white or you're half white. I'm like, okay, what makes someone black? Because if I compare Nack Measy to an African, there's a distinct difference. So something happened in his lineage that makes him far different from an African.
Right.
My question to him was, how much do you have to reproduce to say you're black again? He wouldn't answer it.
He couldn't answer it.
See, it's easy to say you're not black, but then when you say, well, what is black? If I'm mixed and I marry a black woman, does that make my children black? If it doesn't, if they marry a black woman, does that make their children black?
And the whole thing is, and you can go a step further. Donald Trump said all the black jobs are being taken. Black jobs? What do you mean by that?
I don't know
Now,
what a black job is.
In the video that I have, and I'll play later if Drew shows up, he talks about reparations, FBAs, and this, that, and the other. And he talks about if the immigration was fixed, lower wage labor. All of a sudden, I started correlating. They're meaning the lower wage labor jobs were meant for black people, but the Hispanics and other immigrants are coming in and taking your jobs from you.
Taking your jobs. That's what they say. Well, I don't
So
know
your low wage labor jobs that keep you downtrodden and not being able to excel in whatever chosen career or path that you wanted to go on.
But
so
see,
correlation.
That's what they do, Ronin. And that's what I hate that he does. They say they're taking your jobs, meaning your job, we only qualify you for the lowest job.
Correct. Now,
what they never talk about, and he talked about it, he said, I'm against affirmative action. Affirmative action. Help, I'm against DEI. I hate that. Now, what he called affirmative action was getting hired based on your race. So what is affirmative action? I just want to, before I even go in it, I just want to know, what does it mean? So I can go here. Meaning of
affirmative action was the step before DEI. DEI enhanced what affirmative action was over the history, but it started off as an affirmative action, meaning the best man for the job, but you still need to be equal in having so many of other races working for you. So and I used to hire a lot of people as a manager in executive management. Sometimes the company said, we need to hire some people. And the affirmative action click was you're black, Hispanic, you're African, or you're either a black woman or black man. But if you hire a woman, that's 2 points. So the way you get over, if you need to hire somebody, you hire a black woman, you just knocked out 2 requirements. An African American and a woman out at the same time in one hire. Now you can go hire an extra white person. So this is how it was starting to stack up in affirmative action. Then they came out with these DEI points later. But when me and Fearless are in the working force, he's still there, I'm not. It was affirmative action. There was no such thing as fucking DEI. That came out later. It was affirmative action first. But what did you find out, Fearless?
Affirmative action, the actual meaning is just the practice or policy of favoring individuals belonging to groups regarded as disadvantaged or subject to discrimination. His thing is, and he said it in his speech, less white people are getting, if there's 100 spots for white people to get in school, affirmative action is allowing unqualified blacks to get in. First of all, that's untrue. But if I have a policy, and he says, oh, that's a policy of discrimination because I'm doing it on race. But if I have a policy that says my dad went to school here, and because my dad is an alumni, that means I can get in, which they do at Harvard and a lot of these Ivy League schools. Isn't that a form of affirmative action? But why don't we say a discrimination against that? Because you gave someone an advantage or someone an opportunity who didn't deserve it based on their merit. Why is it that we only talk about the racial aspect? Right. And in this and just by what he's saying, they believe that you only deserve minimal jobs. So when you say, well, I can't get hired here because you keep hiring your friends, your family, the people you know, the people you feel comfortable with, how can I ever break in if through this hiring I am qualified, but I can never get in because of your hiring practices that never allowed me in? And I say that when we talked about Ferguson at the time, where I said, how can you have a police force that is 100% white patrolling a city that's 90% black? There had to be some type of, you're going to tell me that none of the people who were inside or outside were qualified? So this idea that, and he states it, I'd be afraid to get on the airplane that the pilot was black. We always, affirmative action does not mean I'm giving you the job. It just means you still have to meet the requirements. We just want to open the door to the opportunity that you would not have had otherwise. That doesn't mean you're getting hired just because you're black. You still have to meet the qualifications. The Army
had to over those qualifications. It wasn't just meeting for us. We had to over qualify for those same requirements.
And so when you spew those points, when you say it's all about race, that's where people start to get angry. But the thing was, in actuality, it really wasn't the blacks that got angry. They just said, yeah, we came into the mentality when debating is, this is what they think about us anyway. The difference was white people who were more liberal started to say, damn, that's what they think about you anyway. Like, to them, they could not see the racism from other people because when you're in it, you don't see it. And then when you say to people, yeah, they don't deserve it. Or, Martin Luther King was a joke. And they're like, what? Wait, hold up. Man, you are spewing what my black friends have always stated, but I didn't believe them. I didn't believe that people like you existed. I didn't believe that your mentality existed.
All right, last tongue lashing he got, and this one's from a woman in Cambridge.
Would you agree that it's a good thing that more women get married and have children in the West?
I would ask you, would you say that a sub-Saharan African woman who's experienced female genital mutilation and checks extremely happy in a survey, and I also would check extremely happy in a survey, who do you think would be objectively more happy, even if they both check the same answer?
No, again, so I fully, if you want to talk about how Islam mistreats women, we could talk all day long. Like, I'm all for that.
Me too.
Okay, good. So we agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
We actually have agreement.
Many things.
And we should shut off Muslim immigration to the UK, right? We totally agree.
I think that all religious fundamentalism is bad, and if you take that logic, we should also not allow evangelical Christians into the UK either.
Hold on. So hold on a second. Hold on. That's funny. Hold on. Can you show me what would your example, because I have 50, of a single Christian country that you would say mistreats women, right?
America.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We had a female woman vice president. We had a female vice president, a female speaker of the House. Women earn more than men in America.
In Rwanda, female representation in government supersedes the UK by quite a lot. Did women get treated better in Rwanda?
Boom. Boom. She was about to kill him with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're a woman and you're in a situation or a placement doesn't mean that they're getting equal treatment. Because they're not. I mean, we just went over some facts the other day where white women are making 75 cents on the dollar under a male, and black women were making what, 63 or 50 something cent per dollar for their male counterpart.
But do you see the same thing that he did in this one that he did in the previous?
Show me. Yeah.
And then when someone shows him, and he does the what if-ism. So show me, because you don't know where in the world are women doing this. Oh yeah, she said that. Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Right, and the other part was, I got 50. My stunt girl would be like, give me 50 then. You got 50, give me 50. And when you faltered, then basically you're making them all up. And then I would discredit every 51 of the ones he brought up. So I'm gonna bring up a guy, and he likes to analyze and overanalyze everything, and he's gonna talk about some finer points of Charlie Kirk's way of debating.
I found out about Charlie Kirk a few months ago, and I'll be honest, I'm absolutely fascinated by him, because I don't think I've ever seen somebody who's so indescribably bad at logical debate. Let's take a look at this example.
Would you say that a sub-Saharan African woman who's experienced female genital mutilation and checks extremely happy in a survey, and I also would check extremely happy in a survey, who do you think would be objectively more happy?
Now, what options does he have available to him in a logical debate? Well, first of all, he can answer the question. It's either A or B. Or maybe he thinks her question isn't valid, in which case he can attack one of her premises and explain why he's not answering the question. Instead, he responds with this.
If you want to talk about how Islam mistreats women, we can talk all day long.
And then follows up with this.
Should shut off Muslim immigration to the UK, right?
Instead of answering the question, he simply changes the subject to something that had nothing to do with the debate that came before. Now, whenever you see somebody debating something, always ask yourself, are they addressing the issues that were put towards them? And you'll notice with Charlie Kirk, he will do once or twice, but as soon as it gets too difficult, he just changes the subject completely to, I don't know, Muslim bad or woman home or one of his favourite topics. It's just non sequitur after non sequitur. When I first started TikToking in 2020, I did a series on logical fallacies. And over the last few months, I've genuinely thought about bringing this back purely through watching Charlie Kirk videos. Because if you see a 1 minute Charlie Kirk clip, you are guaranteed a minimum of 3 logical fallacies. He tries to win arguments with a gotcha moment. He's not a logical debater. I'll be honest, I think it's quite sad that people like this get so much traction on social media.
Move the goalposts. Move the goalposts. How many times have we debated with someone who moves the goalposts constantly? When you ask the question, they never answer the question. They say, well, what about this? Or they give their argument. Your favorite person over there, the male version, always would give the argument, what men should do. And when I posed a question on that, I said, well, you work in IT. If your girlfriend made double what you make, what are you responsible for? Do you still have to take her out all the time? Are you paying all the bills? Well, what does she pay? I mean, what is her contribution? It changes the dynamic of it, where your argument falls apart. And that's a lot of what a lot of his arguments did. But like I said, people will say he's great. What people? What great? And if you agree with what makes him great, maybe, as I said before, maybe what makes someone great in your eyes is not the same that will make them great in my eyes.
Thanks.
To the Europeans, the Cowboys was great. Not to the Indians.
So like I said, the logical debating part of Charlie Kirk was non-existent. He used stupid logic. And that's because he was able to mentally prepare for a lot of these conversations he already knew he was going to have with a broader base of students that were younger than him, didn't have the life experience, and couldn't weigh through his little irks that he uses in order to control a conversation. People can pull you out of your mode and your focus when they throw little twists and turns in on comments. You know how you hear somebody say a backhanded comment? He's great for doing it. Great for doing that. And here's the young man that I told you that Charlie Kirk did not want to talk to. He was damn near banned off of any microphone at any university. And it's a younger man than him, because the kid is so great at debating and does not get emotional.
It's a very move on your part to keep avoiding Dean.
Then debate me.
People like you.
Let me on the mic. Let me on the mic.
Get Dean on the mic. That's the whole reason I came up here.
Thank you.
Move for you to keep avoiding him.
This was Dean's whole plan. I'm going to bring these people here. Woo!
We've been told by every single one of Kirk's staffers that he doesn't want to talk to us. I have some disagreeing questions. Do you think I could ask him?
Well, that's something you're going to have to talk to somebody else about.
The reason we weren't let in line is because we don't go to college. But apparently neither does a guy on the mic. We're in MAGA territory now. We need to be very respectful.
Hey, Charlie, Dean's here. Dean.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
You have a permit?
We should talk. Trying to talk to Charlie Kirk, but it's not working. Do you think me and Kirk should have a conversation?
100%.
You got to get me up there, man.
You may be purposely ignoring you.
This has proven to be very difficult.
I think that we are in the free marketplace of ideas. Anyone should be able to come up here and challenge and debate you. If you're really for that, as you say you would allow someone to come up here and debate you on that.
Crazy.
So a little while ago, he had put out a video because he was such an aggressor towards Charlie Kirk and some of his ideals and always wanted to debate him. He actually put out a sympathetic message and got attacked for it, but I'm going to play the message from this young man.
Charlie Kirk is dead. He got shot at an event that he was hosting in Utah. And I am sad, distraught. In fact, I just cried on my live stream in front of 250,000 people. My goal in this video is to tell you why I feel this way. If you want to end gun violence, it is something that you can never celebrate. It is always disgusting, always vile, and always abhorrent. It should come as no shock to yourself when I tell you that I think Charlie Kirk was a bad person. I've made that very clear over the last year, but does that mean I think he deserves to lose his life? No. Does that mean I think his two young children, who were in attendance at the event where he was shot, deserve to watch their father die? No. Does that mean I think they deserve to grow up without him? No. Does that mean I think that his wife, who was also there, deserved to lose her husband? No. And honestly, if you answered yes to any of those questions, there's a very clear line drawn between me and you. I don't want your support, and I don't support you either. We as a collective need to end gun violence, and if that phrase is negotiable for you, I believe that you're in the wrong. My thoughts and prayers go out to Charlie Kirk's friends, family, children, loved ones, as well as every single person in attendance at his event today in Utah.
I don't know why he got attacked for that. I guess because other people just. I mean, I guess I can understand. Let me put my thoughts into someone else's things. If I think it's the degree of hate. Because if we, if it was just say a Ku Klux Klan member and they got deleted, would we say, oh man, he shouldn't have got deleted? Or would we say, well, they were spewing hate. And that's what would happen to them. So maybe the people who, I wouldn't say celebrate, but have no
empathy,
didn't shed a tear, were the people that said, well, that's how they felt about me. Or how would he have felt about me if I was the victim? And it's sad because I think I read a story yesterday, and I'm going to summarize it and I'll say it again. Maybe I can try to go with it. Basically, in Germany, there was a group of Russians and a group of Jews. They told the Russians They were captured enemies. This is during World War II, so they were captured enemies and prisoners of war. So the Germans told the Russians to go ahead and dig a grave, and when that grave was dug, they put the Jews inside of it, and then they told the Russians to bury the Jews. And if you don't bury the Jews, we're going to kill you. The Russians said, we're not going to bury the Jews. You can kill us. I said, oh, go ahead. Get out of the grave. Then they told the Jews, Russians get in the grave. Jews, we want you to bury him. And the Jews started burying him. And right when they were getting buried, they said, stop. And they told the Russians to get out. And they said to the Russians, now do you understand that the people you would save would not save you? And this is why we're destroying them. Now, I don't agree with the story. I mean, the story has a basis of meaning just because you do something or you would save someone's life does not mean that person would do the same for your life. Where am I going with this? I think Big Mike said, blacks who are supporting him are coons. Well, yesterday I brought on Officer Tatum. Now, Charlie Kirk said about Officer Tatum, in a sense, you got your job because of affirmative action. You got your job because of this. He basically said, you're not qualified and I wouldn't cry for you and you shouldn't be in this position. Officer Tatum, on the other hand, wept for him, cried for him, even though he wouldn't have done the same. And this is the life that we live in, that sometimes we will do for others who are not, where they say, pee on you to put the fire out.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just Officer Tatum. What's his name? Fit, off of Fresh and Fit.
Fresh and Fit, Myron.
He Myron started crying. I mean, I get you guys know these people. If you know them personally, I understand. If you dealt with him, and that's what this kid was saying, I knew him personally. It wasn't somebody I didn't know. It wasn't somebody I didn't see personally in my life. And he was just horrified. He's a young man. He's not used to seeing that kind of violence, not in front of his face, you know. And for him to see that happen, he was literally crying over the fact that he was still in shock of it all, to see it all, and not necessarily tears of, oh, it's, you know, some of the other things being derogatory in nature, you know. So he had to go back on based on the comments from his first address and readdress why he reacted that way, because people just could not figure it out. This young man has never experienced that kind of violence in his life. He didn't grow up in an inner city neighborhood where there's gun violence every day and you see somebody's blood all over the floor or all over the ground, you know. So you have to get in people's mindsets and understand their background. Me and you grew up two different ways. I might have grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, but I didn't grow up in a poverty-stricken neighborhood. You know, I told you my story is my mom ran the numbers. She kept the books for the mob. My brother's dad was a collector on the fucking docks. We had 2-3 houses. We were going on vacations. I told you guys I traveled since I was 2. How the fuck do you think I was doing that? I didn't grow up like that. Now, when I went to my grandparents' house or whatever, I caught my first body at 4, walking to a corner store around the street from my grandmother's house. We all have different experiences. We don't all grow up the same. We're the same color, but we don't all have the same experiences.
If you guys look at the thumbnail, I said Charlie Kirk the Great. And what I meant by that is, whatever side that believed in him would think he's great. The people he affected are not going to have that same view. His experience is not your experience. It's not that. My question then, Ronin, does that make him wrong? Does that make him a wrong person for his views? If he grew up entirely different he grew up a certain way. Does that make him wrong? And if somebody has a different view, how much is it that you need to believe in someone to accept them? Meaning, Charlie Kirk says some great things. When he talked about marriage, I got a thing on here where his wife seems to be very loving. She's like, hey, I believe that the man is the head of the home. I believe, in spirituality that, we should get married younger, that we should be forming families. That sounds great to me. I mean, I don't disagree with that. There were some things that he stated that we also stayed on the show, that that the government came in 1960 and that became the father of the homes. Especially, that was one of the things that really hurt the Black community, because instead of having the father, we depended on the economics of the government, and we would do more what the government said than what the father should do in the home, because that paycheck from the father was replaced by Uncle Sam. We said the same thing. So does that make him wrong if he agreed with 50% of what we stated? And is it how he stated it? And if you say it's how he stated it, I want to, today we're just doing some analytics. Is it how you say it? And I say that because one of the accusations of Kevin Samuels was, it wasn't what he said, it was how he said it.
Correct.
And I see Buck said he should appeal the Civil Rights Act. My question would be, do you think civil rights, I'm just using his talking points because I just want us to get some thoughts in. Do you think segregation helped the Black community or harmed the Black community? Do you think that there were more doctors, pharmacists, professionals in the Black community before segregation or after segregation? Because when I listen to some older folks, what they say is segregation hurt us, because Black people started to think that the ice was colder when whites sold it. So instead of buying from a Black community where you were forced to, when you did not have, when you could not go to a white doctor, a white pharmacist, a white teacher to get educated, you had to make sure that your own community supplied doctors, lawyers, pharmacists, and teachers. That means I had to make sure that my children grew up a certain way in order to get that education, to get that type of medical looked at, to get that type of representation. So with all that said, when did that break down? When we said, well, I don't have to thrive anymore. I can just go to this white doctor, because the white doctor probably knows, how do we say it? Everybody says, if you want this, I own business, I can't trust in Black folks. I can trust the white folks. How many people say that? How many times you go to a restaurant and be like, man, Black people just don't know nothing about customer service. And we get mad at being charged $15 for something, but we'll go to an expensive white restaurant and pay twice that. Now, before, when you couldn't sit in a white restaurant, you had to Black restaurants had to be good, because that was a competition. You had to make sure that I took care of my people. But then you wanted to go into a white restaurant because you wanted to go into a place that they didn't even want you. Now, I heard the one guy, Dr. Claude, was it Dr. Claude? He talked about Martin Luther King went down to Montgomery and said, we ain't gonna ride no buses. That was the bus boycott. And his thing was, well, why didn't we just have our own buses? Why were we reliant, or why did we need to ride on white buses? And do you know how many businesses shut down after the civil rights place was passed? Do you know how many teachers were displaced because there were teachers teaching in the Black schools, were displaced when the civil rights shut down, or when the civil rights came through? How many movie theaters, how many Black-owned grocery stores were non-existent? when that happened. So my question still would believe, was Charlie Kirk right when he said civil rights was wrong? Your thoughts?
That's a rough one, bro. I'm not touching civil rights. Civil rights is absolutely right. Now, you can say there were some disadvantages for them more so than disadvantages for us. And we needed every last leg up since redlining, since everything else that had been going on with Jim Crow and all the things that happened before the civil rights movement and all the things that were continuing to happen until the civil rights movement. You know, so it wasn't like, oh, they let us alone. You know, we had Black Wall Street, we had cities, we had things that we were doing for ourselves separate away from the white folks. And they kept, what's that line? I keep trying to get out and they keep pulling me back in. And every time we tried to get out, they pulled us back in. Same thing with the system. You know, they knew that we had the strongest nuclear family in the country, Black Americans. We were the strongest nuclear family. We were more married than any other race in the country at the time. Then they bring out this system and they slowly wear us out. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen right away. We didn't all just jump on the system. Now, the white folks obviously did. We did not. It took a long time. We had pride back then. A lot of our folks, if you talk to your great-grandparents, great-great-parents, before they passed away, they had pride. They weren't doing that. They were not going to rely on the federal government. They did not want to put themselves in that situation. But when you get starved out and you get hungry and you start hearing your kids crying and you got no other choice because they closed all the steel mill plants, they closed all the car plants and all the different things that we were doing at our type of jobs that we had and we were able to get without a lot of trouble. When they started doing that in the 60s, that's when you start seeing these Black exploitation films and all this stuff is closely related to reality. Wasn't a lot of jobs out there. Brothers had to resort to crime. I just told you my mom had a background with dealing with the mob. When do you think I was born? 1967. My brother was born in 1964. What do you think was going on then when there was hard luck to get jobs? You were out there doing whatever you needed to do to pay for the bills, to put food on the table. You did whatever by any means necessary you had to do. Now, when people trying to do right and they try to do a lot of different things, what do? You know what? The system is there for a reason. White folks are already doing it. Let me step away. What was it? Good times? James went away to go work somewhere else in a whole nother state. Just so he can send money. Just so he can send money back to the family. You know, so some of that stuff you guys got to understand. There's been a lot of historical revision, even in our own culture, that don't want to acknowledge certain things had to happen to put us in those positions in order to break down the Black nuclear family over a period of years.
Let me say this though. I know what you're saying, Ronin. Right. But if I know the one guy that you hate more than
Dr. Umar Johnson.
If Dr. Umar Johnson says segregation was bad, civil rights bad, and Charlie Kirk says segregation is bad, civil rights bad, why do we say Charlie Kirk was wrong?
You're looking at two different panderers. You're looking at a white guy that was pandering to his white base, and you're looking at a Black guy that was pandering to Black women, single mothers, especially because they're the ones putting money in his pocket on those super chats. So when you're pandering to a certain type of base, you're going to turn, and like I said, you start to turn the screws on historical revision. You start to cater that historical fact to your mission of pulling money out of the pockets of your base.
Mm-hmm. And we see that with Drew. I mean, you and I are lighter skinned, so we get half the money that a dark skinned Anton gets. You know, Anton, a little darker than us. He get double the money, you know, and so we segregated And so we
and
can
Drew, I sent you the link. You're supposed to be up here, brother. I don't know why. I appreciate the $1.99 super chat, and I'm going to break up his talking right now because I'm going to read your super chat. Yeah, he's cooking, and I'm reading your super chat. But you supposed to be up here too. I got all your videos preloaded. I told you I was going to do that while you guys slept. I downloaded those clips, got them ready for you, and you a no-show. I appreciate that $1.99. But you're supposed to be part of this.
Correct. And I'm going to show this for Drew because we spoke about this. I won't let this play long. But Drew, you said that there are things that I believe in with Charlie Kirk, and I have no problem with what he's saying here. Him and his wife. This is what they're talking about. Just a little snippet.
Teach Titus 2 to women. To understand how to be a biblical woman in society. I think it was Elizabeth Elliot that said, being a woman does not make me a better Christian or a certain Christian, but be the woman that your future husband deserves. Like, be the woman that, God wants you to be. You don't have to be out partying. Don't, be crazy thinking like I'm running out of time when your God is the author of time. So just chill, like you're gonna find your human. God knows your timing, and I think that that's another thing right now that you see too. Young men and women, you hear it all the time.
Actually become men, and that starts with it is not attractive. I mean, Erica can support this. It's not attractive to women how much liquor you can drink or how many drugs you could do or how many women you've slept with. I think it's actually not interesting at all. It's the opposite. It's are you able to support the family and do difficult things and be able to bear an obligation to be able to do this very challenging thing called life? And what we've done is we have created a condition where it's okay for men to kind of continue to stay in that infant stage. And that goes for both men and women.
I'll stop it there. But here was my thing, Drew. No time during that was race. He didn't need. It was men need to do this, women need to do this. This is how we make a better America. This is how we make a better family. I have no disagreement with that. I can look at that video and say, I can replace him with me and his wife with my wife. And we can completely say the same things and I have no issue because all you're talking about is relationships. We're talking about how people are. There's nothing wrong. And if you're saying, hey, men need to do this, no problem. But when you start to say black men are this, black communities this, ghettos this, and you're only pointing the finger to those other communities, that's where the issue comes in. If this is all the rhetoric that he spoke, and he said, look, us as men, we're not doing our job. Women need to be more like this. Don't need to be out in the street. Don't need to be drinking. Don't need to be hoeing around there. And guys don't need to be out there trying to have sex with everybody. We need to do. I would have no issue with him. We would be on the same page. Nothing wrong. We see it the same way. I just don't know why you have to bring other aspects into the conversation. They have nothing to do with it. And if you're going to bring those other aspects in it, don't just point the finger at one race, especially when you're not that race. Also look internally and say the things that are wrong with your own race or your own community. That's what he didn't do. And by doing that, that was very divisive.
Facts. And that's going to lead us into the next video.
You've obviously devoted a lot of your life to electing, keeping in power Donald Trump. And you did so partly because you said Trump would put Americans first and take them out of foreign conflicts. Should we see how that is going at the moment? Currently, Trump has just accepted a $400 million debt from Qatar, which we're assured is perfectly above board. Billions in arms are going to Saudi Arabia, which they're using to bomb and starve Yemeni children. Not sure how that's in the interest of the United States, but it might be in the interest of the $5.5 billion deal his failed sons are receiving. At the same time, this great president of peace has greenlit mass killings not just in Yemen, but in Gaza, where he greenlit an invasion called Operation Gideon's Chariot with the express aim of wiping out the Gazan population. You promised to put America first. Haven't you and your ilk sold America out? well, I'm glad you have great intellectual substance and can answer. Because it's all the culture wars for you, isn't it? The second someone actually tells you what you're doing, which is red.
Can you calm down a little bit? Like, just a little bit?
No. What the
It's
hell was
America
that?
first until it's not America first. It's and that's what it is. This is Drew. This is where I get upset, not just with him, with other people. I know this woman was debating, I think Pierce Morgan. No, it was a guy on Fox News. Go ahead. I'm going to find this debate. I want you to talk. Let me see if I can find this debate because this sums up how things are.
Again, this kid destroyed him when it came to Gaza. This kid just ripped him up and down. That's why I said he did not, after that debate, ever want to acknowledge Palestine at all. He wanted that out of his repertoire. He didn't want to address it. He don't want nobody to bring it up. It was just a moot point because he's going to be unreasonable with the facts of who Gazans were and Palestinians were, you know. And you played a video earlier that had Golda Meir, the first prime minister of Israel, saying she was Palestinian up until 1948, before they made it Israel. And we went over the history of that. That's why I said, you got to look for the okie doke. There's always the okie doke. Follow the money, follow the reasoning, look at the misdirection. And we all know Donald Trump is the king of misdirection. Hey, look over there while he's doing 5 things over there that you're not even paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
He does it all the time. But nobody's caught on to it yet. Did you find what you were looking for? If not, I'm going to go ahead.
Through it, but you know that your favorite person put out something about
Lord Jesus.
About him.
Why? I mean, what can he actually say that has anything to do with Pan-Africanism? Well, I take that back. I just
look it up and read it. He said, basically said that, you know, read it if you can find it. I don't want to put words in his mouth.
Drew, go into your email. I sent you an email response with the link for the panel, bro. But anyway, I'm gonna play this next video while you're doing that.
It's a very move on your part to keep avoiding deep.
Saying.
Hold on.
Saying we're going to just raise tax on the billionaires, that statement, you just violated 2 out of the 10 commandments.
What? That's not true.
Thou shalt not steal and thou shalt not covet. We're going to go take other people's money.
How is that stealing?
Because it's their money.
We live in a society that is run by taxes. How is that stealing?
Well, taxations are a form of theft, definitionally. Because it's not the government's money. It is private property that you earn when the government extracts it by force.
Someone breaks into your house, you call the police. When you have a fire, you call the fireman. When you want to drive, you drive on roads. When you want to mail, you use the U.S. Post Office. These are all taxes. Yeah, we all contribute as a society.
Of course.
But this is elementary stuff. It's not theft.
There you go. There's another one. He fumbled the ball.
Here's the thing. No. Can you play that one more time for me real quick? I just want to pick up.
Saying we're going to just raise tax on the billionaires, that statement, you just violated 2 out of the 10 commandments.
What? That's not true.
Thou shalt not steal and thou shalt not covet. We're going to go take other people's money.
How is that stealing?
Because it's their money.
We live in a society that is run by taxes. How is that stealing?
Well, taxations are a form of theft, definitionally. Because it's not the government's money. It is private property that you earn when the government extracts it by force.
Someone breaks into your house, you call the police. When you have a fire, you call the fireman. When you want to drive, you drive on roads. When you want to mail, you use the U.S. Post Office. These are all taxes. Yeah, we all contribute as a society.
Of course.
But this is elementary stuff. It's not theft.
Is he fine with taking the money, sending it overseas?
Of course he is.
That? Well, wouldn't that be stealing from me?
Misappropriation of federal funds to go and fund some other bullshit that we didn't really vote on.
I mean, I'm just saying it's fine. See, here's the thing. You can't take the money and give to the poor, but you can take the money and give to another country.
A war. Yeah, let's make it rhyme. You can take the money from the poor and give it to make a war.
So that's when I say the hypocrisy comes in.
I mean, we've said this on several panels, and I think it's been brought out to light on multiple YouTubers' channels and everything else. The money they sent to support Ukraine alone was enough to do so many positive things in the United States. Let's say end homelessness for all the U.S. veterans that gave up their time and maybe some of their body parts and everything else to serve the country. You know, but again, where's the priorities lie when it comes to America? But here's the next video while you're looking up some more.
So in other words, you believe that abortion is worse than the Holocaust?
They're both distinct evils.
Of course.
With some similarities. The Holocaust in some ways was far more evil.
Okay.
But as far as magnitude, the abortion crime is more evil.
So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
What the hell was that?
I don't know why it was. I don't know. I got to figure out why he's saying it's worse. I don't know the clip doesn't give me his logical thinking on that. Is it more people are being killed? Is it what's the logic behind it?
Basically,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I think
go ahead.
The Holocaust is not as bad as somebody voluntarily killing a baby or infant versus what Hitler did to all the Jews in Israel. But yet and still, he's supposed to be somebody that supports Israel. So you're saying the same people you support, when it comes down to a baby and abortion that's not really even a baby yet, that's worse than what was done to the people that you like and you support.
Well, that's the same people that say, slaves you were fine, because you had somewhere to go.
So we finally got Drew G up on the panel. Thank you, brother. I got your clips already. You need to tell me what you want to play. How's the live going so far? You
Hey, good morning. I'm sorry, I didn't see that because last night I could have sworn you said that you were going to start and then open the panel right away. So that's why I was waiting for the link. But I didn't look at my email this morning.
This is a hit and run. If you ain't on this panel, you might not get up here.
Oh, okay. Well, you can kick off with any one of those that I sent you because
I'll do the reparations one first, since that's a big. We'll do that. That's
all right, there's a reparation one. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Downfall of the black family. And unfortunately,
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, the more money we've spent on this, we've seen the downfall of the black family. Just some numbers super quick. Is that in 1964, right before the passage of the Civil Rights Act, 75% of black youth had a dad around. Now it's 25%. So only 25%. So 1 in 4 kids have a dad around. Black dads are no longer a big part of young kids' life. It's a very big problem that has huge ramifications. Then finally, on the reparations argument, that comes into just more like concrete questions. Where do you draw the line? Who defines it? And also, why would you tax, for example, somebody like me? My ancestors fought on the Union side of the Civil War, so I got to go pay more money, even though my ancestors did the right thing. No offense if you guys fought for the Confederacy. That's not trying to, drum up any, it's all good. We're all Americans now. I'm not. Why should I have to then go pay for something that my ancestors did correctly? Finally, it's like, how do you prove it? Prove it. Like, this is not your argument, but it's a hilarious contradiction. The very same people who tell you that voter ID is racist want all of a sudden black America to prove that they're the descendants of slaves 7 generations ago. Like, let me go get my paperwork together. I thought it's racist to ask people for their paperwork. Anyway, the whole thing's crazy. But here's the more important thing that I think we can agree on. That we should have a opportunity.
I'll pause it right there and we can address those first, and then I'll let them finish it off with the black job situation. So Drew G, you there? I don't know if we lost him or not. I know he was driving. He needed to pop in. Fearless, what did you think about that first part with the the black family, and then he starts to get into reparations. I mean, there is a whole FBA movement. So we've already figured out, and like I said, they always anticipate black people being a day late and a dollar short and not being ahead of the curve. When you got this whole movement with FBA alone trying to identify foundational Black Americans, or ADOS, Africans of descendant American slave, or American descendants of slaves, already set up so that issue is a null and void issue. We know who, what, when, and why. We already know that. So that issue right there has been resolved. And the fact that you're saying it's racist for us trying to figure out who actually should get paid, and whether your daddy, it's not your daddy or your family would have to pay. It's the federal fucking government that would have to pay something that was already owed. And that's where he tries to make it personal by saying, why would my family have to pay? It's not your family, it's the government that has to pay. And since your family, even though they might have fought for the right side, didn't enforce what the government had promised for everybody else that also fought for that same side, then yes, the government still owes, and it's not personal to your family or anybody else. It's personal to the government. So that's disingenuous the way he made that argument come up by saying, oh, how are we going to track all this? Blah, blah, blah. We already figured it out for you, bro. So relax. All right. So that part is resolved. And we just talked about the black family in 1964, and I just broke down how the family had to leave and separate, and that's how the black nuclear family got broken down from being the highest nuclear family with fathers in the home to now being 1 in 4 since 1964, because of all the issues that came up with joblessness, the plants closing, steel mills closing, different car plants closing, the jobs that we used to do. The real black jobs that we used to do. Go ahead, Phyllis.
Well, there's two things. One, I looked up the stats. So in this beginning of this video, he says that in 1960, the black stats went down. Well, in 1960, the white stats went down. Then he talks about, correct. He talks about reparations and not paying individuals. If not us, who? If not now, when? Let me show you how they feel about this. If I say I have nothing to do with, I didn't put any Asians in any concentration camps. I didn't kill a Jew. Nobody in my family killed a Jew. But we do that. But this is how, when they say there is no money and things should be done, this is how they twist it. And I just want you to hear this, because in a sense, this is the exact same argument that Charlie Kirk makes. I just want to see how they weasel out.
Supposed to be a grandmaster. Your number one move should be protect your border, not Ukraine. If you're saying let's worry about Ukraine, maybe it's number 9 on the list. It ain't number 1 above the border. That is the most ludicrous argument I would ever make.
Well, let me ask you this.
We have to take care of America
let me ask you this.
Then we take care of everybody else.
Why should America be supporting Israel then? That's thousands of miles away.
How much money are we giving to Israel?
Billions.
How much money are we giving Israel? I'm curious. Go ahead. I'm curious. Go ahead. Are we sending troops over there? Are we sending missiles over there?
No,
but how much money are we giving to Israel? I know the dome we've given it since 1945. America has $10 billion we've given to them. $3 billion is towards the dome.
Yeah.
How much money are we giving them?
Billions of dollars.
Not comparable to what we've given to Ukraine in 12 months. 24 months? No way. Not even close.
Isn't the principle the same? You're doing it to help them defend themselves.
No, it's not. The part with Israel is slightly different.
I just want to see how he whistles his way out. In the beginning, I just wanted you to hear the first words he says, the very beginning.
Supposed to be a grandmaster. Your number one move should be protect your border, not Ukraine. If you're saying let's worry about Ukraine, maybe it's number 9 on the list. It ain't number 1 above the border. That is the most ludicrous argument I would ever make.
Well, let me ask you.
He basically says put America first. Make sure you take care of America. And then when the question is, well, why you send the money to Israel? Oh, well, wait, I didn't mean to talk about that. This is the same senseless argument that when you say to someone like a Charlie Kirk, well, why can't we, if you're able to send all this money, $30 billion to Israel or something to Ukraine, why would you argue about sending money for reparations? Why do you have money for you don't have money for reparations, even if I don't agree with reparations? I'm just saying where your priorities go. If you don't have money for reparations, then how do you have money for a war? Where do you get the money from? Well, you don't go to war. Where did you get? They say where you get the money from. Well, where did you get the money to send to Israel? Where did you get the money to send to Ukraine? Where did you get the money for these other things? You can always find money for those things, but never find the money to help the other people out. So that's why I say it's always
thing like that. It's always personal. Well, why would we have to pay for it? You're not. Let's say you're not. The government is, and that doesn't mean you're personally paying. That means the government is paying for something they already obligated themselves to do. Are you back yet, Drew?
Drew came in and got out.
He unmuted his mic, but he ain't saying nothing. Well, we can't hear you. Go out and come back in, bro. We need your comments.
James, I'm gonna finish up. See dead Ukrainians or seeing people in the ghetto in the U.S. with food and Section 8 and welfare program. They would not rather see people in the United States making it, because you can you can solve the issues, but you don't want to solve the issues. That's an easy thing. Come on up, Drew.
Yeah, well, I'll bring him up. But even with that question, James, here's the thing. Why does America have to reach out to Ukraine when there is a whole European Union sitting there? There's NATO right there. Why do we as Americans have to send our hard-earned dollars way over to Ukraine? Why isn't NATO, why isn't the European Union assisting them with their dollars? Here's the problem. We are spending so much money helping so many other nations when there are other nations that are quite capable of helping as well. So why is it always on the Americans' back and the taxpayers' backside to issue out all this money when we have our own problems at home? But this is off the point of what we're talking about, so I'm going to bring it back. Drew G, I played the first part of the reparations conversation and Black families since 1964. I'm going to go ahead and let you comment on that part, and then I'll finish off that portion of the video.
All right. So as for a Black family, I think we've discussed this before, and I think his talking points are coming from, do you guys remember we talked about selling the Negro when the Black family was strong? I think that's where that talking point comes from, is that we were such a strong nuclear family, and then basically the government destroyed us. You know, and women going on, you know, more welfare and social government programs. So I think we're all in agreements with that. As in regards to money spent for these wars and reparations, I'm going to say that sometimes I feel as Americans, we're like, you know, we go out, let's say we make it similar to going out to dinner with friends. You got that one friend who always paying the bill, and people just look for him to pay the bill when nobody else tries to pull it out of their pocket. And now we're at the point now where people are saying, hey, we're not going to pay the bill anymore. Why are we always footing the bill for you guys? You guys got money. So I don't know if y'all can hear me or not.
No, we can.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I think that's what is similar to, like, we've always been paying the bill. Everyone assumes we're going to pay the bill. And now you got a different group of people saying, no, we're no longer going to pay the bill or foot this bill. Now, in the military, I always heard that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ronin, I don't know if you've ever heard this before too, is that the reason why we pump so much military equipment and assets into Israel is so that we don't have to fight that war. We let them do it.
No, there's another reason, but
Go ahead.
I ain't going into the little hat situation, but there's other reasons beside for that.
Okay.
That's a minor reason. Because they're not
Yeah.
that big. And we're always in the Mediterranean. We're always close enough militarily wise that we can strike from Turkey, anywhere else. We did it for Syria. We did it for so many other countries. We don't necessarily have to give them our armament. And here's the problem. Our top secret armament, they have first rights to modify it to their specifications before they even take in an order. That means they have access to our top secret armaments. Who the fuck gave them that? You're a separate country. You're acting like you're part of us.
Yeah.
Well, I want to address JM a little bit. But JM, here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, but it's very hard for me to be in credit card debt and owe a lot of money and give you some money, you know, where like I can't eat out. I got to eat at home. I got to cook. I got to do all my bills, but I can give you money and you can go eat out. You can send your kids to a private school. Why am I giving you money to do those things that I can't do myself? Shouldn't it be you take care of yourself first, and by taking care of yourself, then you can take care of others? So it's not that I would like to see, you know, dead people somewhere, but we have dead people. We have people that go bankrupt because of medical care. We have people that say, man, I got to split this insulin, this one shot, I got to split it into like 3 or 4 shots because I can't afford it. But yet you can give money elsewhere. That's where the issue lies. Sometimes you have to take care of your people here. And by taking care of your people here, you can take care of people elsewhere. But sometimes things have to be done at home first. You know, would you pay somebody else's rent when you're about to go through foreclosure? Unlikely.
Facts. And it doesn't make us any humane or humanitarian less. We've done enough. That's the whole thing. A lot of people, even when you're dating, a lot of guys will say, take off your cape, stop trying to save these hoes. As a country, we got to take off our cape and allow other countries to receive blessings for helping those same countries. They can be just as humanitarian as we can. And they're closer, so they can get the support there faster. Why does it always have to be done with money?
So Drew, what is it that you have with Charlie Kirk? Is just you believe some of his talking points? You believe that some of the things he said was correct? What is it?
Yeah, just like last night discussion, I believe that some of the things that he does say, we said in our panels in different discussions that we do kind of agree and align with him, and that's why I sent some of the clips to Ronin, especially last night. You said, well, why does he bring up black? Well, he brings up black when black people ask him those questions. So that's why I sent the clips I sent to Ronin where black people asked him these questions. That was his response to them. It wasn't like, I mean, you rarely get random white people ask questions about black people. They mostly ask questions about stuff that they are interested in. And most of the time, they're not really interested in the black family.
Oh, I mean, you ain't been in one of them liberal schools. Let me see if I can go back. I just had a clip. I didn't even take it. Where's that? Wait,
let me finish off with the black wages, or the low wages. They're supposed to be our labor jobs. I'm gonna finish this video real quick. Hold on.
School choice in this country so kids can go to better schools and have more mobility. Number 2, reconstitute the black family. And finally, this is one that you might agree on because you're not a liberal, is that we need to no longer import foreigners that are going to undercut the wages of workers of all races, especially black Americans.
I agree.
And so what we've done is we imported Nicaraguans and Guatemalans to come take low-wage labor, and we didn't want to pay our own Americans those jobs. So final thoughts on those points.
Also, great points. I would say that I am with you for the idea of a colorblind society. I think that I think it's a bit of a farce to say that colorblind society.
I just ended it there because he was fumbling.
Yeah. But you see that same talking point about the when Trump first came in, the way he said it, the way he phrased it, a lot of people took offense to it because he said we're gonna bring back black jobs, and the first thing my mind went there too, is like, black jobs, what the hell is black jobs? We're not going to work in no field or something like that. But as the months have passed by since he's been in office, you see, okay, those black jobs are construction jobs. Those black jobs could be in a factory, a Hyundai factory in Georgia. Those black jobs could be the trucking industry. There's a lot of black jobs that can be saved, or American jobs that can be saved, but we're allowing immigrants to come in, or illegal immigrants to come in and work those at a lower wage.
But isn't that affirmative action?
Allowing illegals in is affirmative action?
No, saving black jobs. Because now you just described a job by race. That's affirmative action.
No, he's just saying save black jobs. Like, those are jobs that historically a lot of black folks have done. Now that we've lost them.
Which jobs are we referring to? Let's be specific here.
Like construction. I know like I said, when I was growing up, I know a lot of men that built houses, that were brick masons, that did drywall, sheetrock, and stuff like that.
But you know why that was, is because they wouldn't let you get educated in the colleges, so you had to learn a trade.
Yeah,
that's why it's a
but
black
those
job.
were high paying jobs though. Now they're hitting them with lower wages. And that's what he's saying.
Back in the
now
day,
those
they
have become
wasn't
lower wage jobs. Huh?
They weren't high paying jobs back in the day.
You don't think so? You don't think that a carpenter and an electrician and plumbers, they make money?
I mean, they had journeymen. Obviously, you're part of the Freemasons when you start getting into those things. You had journeymen. You had to work your way up in order to get your certificate, in order to be a licensed, like either a bricklayer or a electrician, and so on.
They really wouldn't let us join the union.
Well, when I was growing up, there wasn't too much of union. Those are trade jobs that, like, you might have apprenticed with somebody.
Yeah, that's journeyman. That's the journeyman.
Yeah, you journeyman with somebody.
Yeah.
And you learn how to be a carpenter, or you learn how to be a brick mason.
Real black jobs were okay. White people did the coal mining and all that shit. You can see a lot of black people doing coal mining. Brothers were in the steel mills. Brothers were in the fucking plants, Ford plants, stuff like that. Brothers were not in the fields. Are you kidding me? We just came out of cotton fields. You think a brother wants to go back to a farm and pull up fucking wheat, corn or whatever, unless it was their land? That's the only way they would work it.
Well, wait a minute now, because let's not forget that there's certain parts of America that was still a job for a lot of black Americans. Because Fannie Lou Hamer,
if you owned your own land and you worked your land, then yeah, you were going to be a farmer. You're going to do whatever in order to get the value out of that land as a black man. Yes, but that's not a black job that we were doing at this point where he's bringing back. And if you heard the little slight, the low wage labor is the black job in his description.
No, he says low wage. They're paying them low wages, but those could be American jobs that could be higher
and they
wages.
will not pay them $1 more to do that same job, because they tried that when they started kicking people out in Florida. They tried to get people to come in and work for those wages, and those job sites were fucking empty. And I made a video of it. It looked like a ghost town in Florida when Ron DeSantis kicked a lot of the immigrants out of Florida, and he wanted to run his mouth. He fucked around and found out a lot of the jobs that were being worked were worked so low that nobody else wanted those jobs. Those sites.
Do you think that a person who is here illegally is going to report a low wage job?
No, absolutely not.
So that's what we're saying, is that Americans, if those positions for Americans, they would report them.
The reason for that is you already know. We do the same thing as brothers that travel overseas. We are leveraging the American dollar in a foreign country. Of course, they're going to come over here and work for less money, because when they send that money home, remittance, that's a big word to a lot of foreign countries, especially the Philippines. The Philippines has a whole thing called foreign overseas workers. And the reason they do that is because of the remittance amount of money that comes from Europe, America, and all these other countries. Their dollars are so much higher. When they have those remittance checks and those monies being sent in, it's another angle for GDP overall for the islands.
Yes.
So they're doing the same thing. They're taking that money, they're earning it, yes, in the United States at a lower wage, but it's still way more than they would have got back home.
But what we're saying, I think we're getting off track, is that we're saying that those jobs could be for Americans, and Americans could receive higher wages if those jobs were for Americans. That's what he's saying.
Right, and I get that. But now, California and some other states, the national minimum wage has gone up. $14, $15 an hour flipping burgers now. Unheard of back in my day.
No doubt.
How many Burger Kings and all these fast food restaurants are closing their doors because they can't afford to pay that shit?
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot of stores are closing because that minimum wage is just so high, they don't want to pay it, nor do their stockholders want to pay it and lower down their stock prices to pay the minimum wage anymore. A lot of companies are consolidating. They're closing their doors. So how did that help the community?
Well, that's why I said we as American workers have to stand on that, is that in order for these jobs to come over here, you're going to have to pay us. That's just what it is. No matter, the companies don't like to pay us. They don't want to pay us, but they're going to have to pay American workers. I mean, that's just what it's going to be. And you see right there with that bust that happened in Georgia at that Hyundai plant. That's all. We can't find anybody. Well, yeah, you can. You guys didn't look. You guys would rather bring somebody over from another country or from your home country, because you know that you can pay them a lot lower to come over here, and they'll be grateful for the job.
Well, not only that, by hook or crook, that's another roundabout way of importing labor and getting people to immigrate over here from their own country.
Yes. I mean, you look at that situation. So you say you got 300 plus Korean workers, 175. So it's a total of 475 workers altogether. 300 of them Korean. And out of those 300, let's say 150 of those people brought their families with them. Out of that 150, let's say 75 of them had kids. So now you got 75 birthright citizenship children that have now gained access to America for the rest of their lives.
Old sly okie doke. They did that to import a large amount of Koreans under the umbrella of saying these are workers that are vital to the establishment of this plant. That's going to also fuel the job market locally where that plant is.
Right.
So
And that's attack. Let me tell you, I got a buddy of mine that worked with this Asian, and even he said the whole thing about it is Asians are quiet about their movement. They're not like the Hispanics where they get out here and they protest about, we in the country and, we want to wave our Mexican flag or whatever the case may be. You'll never see an Asian out there with a flag of Korea or Vietnam or any of that. They stay really low key that they don't have to draw any type of attention to themselves. But they're doing the exact same thing.
And since you're on immigration, I'm going to play your video of the one immigrant lady or the Hispanic lady that he was talking to.
I think that I didn't have a choice. My grandparents made that decision for me.
I'm not trying to attack your grandparents, but no one has a right to go to anybody else's country. You are invited. It is a privilege, not a right, to come into America.
So it's a privilege to live a life that requires you to have clean water, clean food, clean air.
Yes, of course it is.
And you have to fight for that?
Yes, it is not.
But we didn't?
Hold on a sec. Well,
born here, we didn't fight for that?
Well, my ancestors did fight for that, actually, and I'm a very thankful recipient of many generations of Americans that fought for the greatest nation ever to exist.
By doing what? Coming here?
Well,
illegally?
Wait, what did my ancestors do? They came here illegally. They came over here in 1620, fought in the Revolutionary War, fought in the Civil War, fought in World War I.
So because my grandpa didn't come here in 1620, it gives him no right to have a good life?
He can fill out paperwork and wait in line like the rest of the world. and then we can see whether or not it's in our best interest to allow him to come in. And so we have to weigh costs and benefits. Do you think that the American government should first have a obligation to citizens before foreigners?
Okay, I think we have an
answer the
obligation.
question. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Yeah, we're obligated because we're citizens to have the rights that we have, but that doesn't mean we can't open up our borders
That's not
when
the
we
question.
have the
Hold on a
process to
second.
do so.
You, being a younger American, and everyone in the audience, is the first generation in American history to have it be worse off than your parents. So the social, and you agree with that, social contract, poorer, more expensive. Yeah. So wouldn't it be rational for the American government to say, we're going to prioritize younger generation Americans that are American passport holders and citizens before those in another nation?
I don't want to say anything
right there.
Yeah, Drew. So my problem with that is, did you hear what he just said? Can you tell me what he just said, Drew? And I'm just curious. Just sum it up.
So what he just said was that if you're American, you should be prioritized over anybody who's coming over here illegal.
Interesting.
So why would we send money to Israel to help them out if we want to prioritize American first?
What Israel, I mean, like I said, they have
Ukraine. Who did I say Israel? Anywhere overseas.
He just
He
fell
coming
off.
back. Yeah, I see him back there.
You there?
So I have no issue as to what Charlie Kirk said. He says, hey, you live in America, you got to take care of America. You got to have a line, you got to go in. But it goes the same thing that I was trying to play when it came to Patrick Beck David. He says all that, American first, great. We shouldn't be sending money over to Ukraine. And then when he gets pressed and says, well, what about Israel? Oh, well, hold up. That's where the hypocrisy comes in.
But here's the thing. I'm going to go along with what you're saying. Exactly right. But why can't we talk about that nation at all?
No, we can't.
That's not our country. America's our country. But if you say one wrong thing, you could damn near get exiled up in here. YT will cut you off. Everybody will cut you off. Why are they so sensitive when you're talking about a whole nother foreign nation, supposedly a foreign nation?
I just don't understand. I hate the hypocrisy of saying America first, except reparations for other countries, no reparations for blacks. Pick yourself up by the bootstrap, yet we're not going to give you any of the tools to do it. Go build this house.
Then when we did it, you tore it down multiple times all over the nation. We picked ourselves up by our bootstraps. We had millionaires at our early time. Within 10, 15 years of us having our independence, we had millionaires. We sold to ourselves. We kept our money in our communities longer. Everything. We did everything exactly the way we supposed to. We took the best practices from our white slavers and executed them perfectly for ourselves. And they weren't happy with that either.
I know there's supposed to be a quick hit and run, so I'm gonna let you play some more videos and let's school out on that one.
Well, that was, I mean, I was holding back the videos that Drew wanted to play, and that was it. We were done. I'm glad he came up at the time he came up. We got through the videos, unless you got a couple that you were holding back on.
No, I mean, I can play the ones from yesterday, but that's about it.
Okay.
That shows the hypocrisy that he does. I don't, that's neither here nor there. But I do agree with you, and I wish that how can I say it? I hate that we hold any religion out or people out over another people for just because. For no reason but just because. You can't say that you're a humanitarian and you help the world, but I want to play a few videos, and I'm just like, I don't know.
I mean, we're at the end of it. We can always cut off. Let's see, we're 2 hours and 49 minutes. I mean, an hour and 49 minutes in. Anything after that, I can just go ahead and edit it at the end of the show and say, cut all this shit off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not worried about that. Play with whatever you want, man. I'll just cut it out before it even posts. But yeah, it's at a point now. It's hypocritical. It's very hypocritical, and some of the aid that we're doing is actually to harm other people. That's not aid, man. That's not aid at all. And we're doing it because we want to do some R&D on our upcoming technology. The weapons that we gave the Ukraine, like the drones that can hunt down people, and that's all R&D stuff. We're giving them experimental stuff to try it out before we have to use it. You know, the assistance we gave Israel to go and wipe out a whole people, damn near a genocide, wipe out the Palestinians, which the audacity of that's happening is really the fact that the Palestinians gave up the land, and we all heard this yesterday, and I already knew that history in 1948 after the war.
Mm-hmm.
All to keep an eye on the Palestinians, and all driven because, like I said, there's a huge $5 trillion oil deposit sitting right there off the shore that Israel wanted to cut the Palestinians out of, which would have enriched that whole community themselves if they had just honestly split the fucking money. They didn't want to do that.
We're hypocrites within ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, let me see if I can. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find a one photo that kind of sums it up, which I probably won't be able to. But I'll say this. I'll just say it instead of showing it. In the 1939, we criticized Hitler for not wanting Jews in his country. You know who else didn't want Jews in their country?
America. I'm serious. They don't have Jews.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now I'm like, what happened with the Great Flip? Where did that happen at in history?
And I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying how we always point a finger and say somebody's bad for doing something when we do the same thing to others. And Dan, I do not know the difference between, I can tell you in a sense this difference between Nick Fuente and Charlie Kirk. Nick ain't got a filter.
No, exactly. That's the number one thing.
Nick does not have a filter. He will say things that the others are thinking.
Christian at all. He wasn't married, wasn't white nationalist Christian. And his persona, while it would cater towards the alt-right and the white extremists, doesn't cater towards everybody else that doesn't believe in that extremism when it comes to white only. So yeah, there are two different personalities with that. And lifestyles, really.
So yeah, it's
because if you think about it, Nick Fuentes is self-hating. How do you have a last name Fuentes and you hate Mexicans and any kind of other people than white? Bruh, you have Hispanic heritage. You're running around with a last name Fuentes.
I don't think that means anything to most people.
It does after the fact, because you know how white people say, yo, we appreciate all the help, but once we get done kicking everybody else out, you next.
Yeah, but they don't care. They don't care.
Like Myron's stupid ass.
What's the dude's name? Oh yeah, he don't care either. Officer. Let's see if I can find this dude who says this. If I could, man, I ain't gonna be able to find him in time.
Yes, he's a more presentable. He's got a better looking package. Yes, more presentable And that's why the politicians were able to get behind him a lot better than Nick.
Exactly. And how you present it, you can, as long as you don't call the person the N-word, you can Uncle Tom, you can say all of those other things. You just can't say the specific term. So that's the issue. You just can't say it specifically, but you can call them that without calling them that.
Here's the thing: the Republicans thought they had, even with Donald Trump, another Ronald Reagan. Lo and behold, the minute Trump got in the office, he did the old okey doke on them. Said, "I'm going to turn your party upside down." Now everybody's bowing down to kiss the fucking ring of Donald Trump. You have guys like his vice president who denounced, Donald Trump as being a human being, just dastardly in all his deeds. Now he's his vice president in a matter of 8 years.
And like I said, let's go back. I have no problem. Some things that wait, this is the dude who says it. I laugh at this. Look, I'm sorry. I laugh at this. I don't mean to laugh at this, man. It's sad. It's sad that I laughed at this when I first seen it, but it made me think that my man was a little bit cooler. My man Nick was a little bit cooler. So please bear with me. I'm sorry, but sometimes you got to laugh at crazy stuff.
Democratic plantation. They'll shut the conversation down. But hell, nobody can tell Nick Fuentes to go back to the Democratic plantation.
This is some real nigga shit.
So that's beautiful to see him deliver.
When I heard him say it, I said, man, that's just crazy to me that he just didn't care. Let's see what he says on here. He just didn't care. I said, man, that brother is bold.
With all the Uncle Tom token blacks, like, you're not that smart.
Yeah, he may be a racist. That's not a deal breaker for the punches that he's throwing for me on my behalf. Yeah, these grifters can ignore me when they have larger platforms than I do. They can fill my comment section with hate and chatbots. But hell, nobody can tell Nick Fuentes to go back to the Democratic plantation.
This is some real nigga shit.
So
I almost want to clip that piece up.
Damn, you need to.
Just for that.
When
that's
it's
how crazy that is.
On the panel, you need to play that as a sidebar. It's gonna be some real nigga shit.
Oh man. Well, guys, we've been gone almost 2 hours. What's your closing thoughts? You got any closing thoughts on that?
I mean, Charlie Kirk as a whole, like I said, he has a right to his own opinion. Obviously, as a military guy, I fought for those. But you got to understand, there are some mentally ill people in this world. And what sometimes you promote, you might also die from. Based on how motivated you're making these mentally ill people. Now we're going to figure out what the story is, maybe not, from the guy they just arrested and his reasoning behind why he felt like, instead of having a friendly debate and words with Charlie Kirk, who I'm sure was open for that conversation, he chose to pick up a gun and shoot him. And like the young man said earlier, the fact that his wife and his kids were there, nobody wants to see that happen if you have any kind of humanity at all. So while we might nitpick at his ideologies, nobody deserved to die like that. And it's not karma that it happened. It's not any of that. It is sad at that, like I said, a situation where this guy is open to have an adult conversation with you. And as you saw, the Cambridge students were able to hold a conversation with him. Dean is able to hold a conversation with him, even though he doesn't like the guy. He doesn't agree with the guy. He thinks the guy is evil. But it didn't come down to him wanting to pull a gun versus him having a conversation.
Correct.
And proving it to the world that this guy is somewhat an idiot. He just has been schooled and trained on talking points. And anybody can learn these talking points. you know. And after a while of you ingraining them, it becomes more personable when you speak them out. We learn this in sales. You do it so much in repetition, it starts to become part of you, you know, and you don't even have to think about it. Military does it. Pro athletes, 10,000 hours of training in something, you become a professional at it. You're efficient at it, you know, and this is all he's done since he was 18 years old. The man just died at 31. So his talking points were well ingrained. And unfortunately, they were misguided. You can look at his mentors for that. You can look at the people that were paying him to ignore certain facts in order to promote certain other facts. You know, whoever was fueling that fire and how much. And I looked at his net worth. He had several homes and everything else.
Oh, he had some money.
He had some money. So there's a lot of people pouring money into that Turning Point nonprofit organization, preparing him possibly for a political run in the next couple of years, depending on how he was doing in the open circuit. Guess what he was doing? Training for debates with real politicians. Think about it. You know, so I'm sorry for the family and their loss, absolutely, but it doesn't make the things that he talked about right. And
I agree. I think that you know, you shouldn't. Your life shouldn't be taken for what you speak. But we do live in a world where people today, they don't understand. You know, that sticks and stones don't take place anymore. I do believe that if you don't like what someone says, either prove them wrong or get a better speech. Do a better debate. What I don't like is when we use Christian fundamentalist or other things like that to justify some of our actions, or we manipulate certain sayings. We use those talking points to marginalize a certain group for whatever reason. That becomes the worst. But as
Would
a person,
you agree that it's a good thing that more women get married and have children?
Sorry, I was deleting stuff. Sorry.
No, you fine. As a person, I don't know him. His views, I could agree with some. But I've learned, I think when I grew up, I learned to chew on the meat and spit out the bones. A lot of people can't do that nowadays. I can take the good parts and leave the bad parts. Today's nation doesn't know how to do that. Overall, I do feel sorry for him and his family. You know, I always think someone deserves a chance to maybe through one of those talking points that, you know, something could have flickered in his mind and maybe see him change that way. So I don't know. I don't know. Dan says, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
But did he live by a sword? He didn't. Did he promote gun ownership? I mean, everybody that's you know, somebody that believes in the Second Amendment right, they're promoting gun ownership. So that mean everybody that promotes Second Amendment rights deserve to get shot by a gun? You know? But I get what you mean. If he was out there running and gunning, literally, then he should expect some bullets to come back his way. But he wasn't doing that. He was using his mouth. He was using reason and misguided logic to prove points. It's not worth a bullet.
No. No. Well, with that said, we got other problems we got to deal with.
Thanks.
I'm giving enough time to my man. Charlie, rest in peace. Wish your family the best. I hope things work out for them. But the only thing I would say is just remember, man, like I said before, when I won't even get into it.
Shout out to T Mac real quick. I appreciate the $5.
T-Mac. Yeah, brother. Thank you, T Mac. Thank you for he gave me a cash app yesterday, man.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it very much. Let's put a chat up there and read this, because T Mac does contribute to the team. I did not condone harm against anyone, but in this country, even unalive people with positive messages, like Dr. Martin Luther King and Medgar Evers, Charlie Kirk was hateful. So no tears for him. No lost tears for him. But here's the thing. I know what you're saying, T-Mac, but it always matters with perspective. Because people said that Dr. King was spewing hate. I mean, it was, that Medgar Evers was, wanted to come in where, how would they say, red robins should be with red robins and blue robins should be with blue robins. So they believe that was spewing hate back then. So I'm not saying that that's true, but in the mentality of these people, it becomes very, very difficult. And yes, he did talk down to George Floyd, but so did Candace Owens, so did Anton Daniels, so did Charleston White, and those are black people. So just because they talk down to someone doesn't mean that maybe he should lose his life. Maybe there just comes a point where we can. I don't know what the solution is. I'm going to tell you, I don't know what the solution is. Sometimes you can't change people's mind.
The biggest thing, I'm just glad it wasn't a brother. That's all I can say. And you know how it is nowadays. Every time somebody gets shot, we're all holding our collective breaths, waiting to see who the criminal was that did the shooting.
But you know say,
what I mean? And certain things you just don't want a brother to be involved, because now it gets amplified across the country. Like even with this situation, they started talking about HBCUs right out the bat. They were threatening HBCUs, like as if we had something to do with it.
Let me see if I can. Maybe there was a short. I know you say that, but let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see if I can get to where he's just saying this. What you're saying is you glad it wasn't black, but that doesn't. Why?
Because it would have turned into something wholly different. Then it would have been racially motivated, and then the fact that we just had the stabbing with the schizophrenic guy and the white woman on the bus. This would have just stacked on top of that.
All right. So you see, I view it different.
Like you said, there was a whole school shooting that nobody even wanted to cover. So it even from that.
I view it different. It didn't matter who it was, because what you're saying, you're glad it wasn't a black person because of the narrative.
Right.
So what happens when it's the white person? Let me see if I can get there.
Do you notice they said they captured a guy, and I know they just had the memorial on the channel, on his YouTube channel. I noticed that was playing, and they're just letting justice. There's not a lot of stuff going on. There's a little speculation, but they're letting the law do whatever they're going to do in the background.
That's untrue. You said glad it wasn't a black person, but here's the thing.
Yeah, because if it was, it would be blown out of proportion right now.
No, because this is what they do when it's a white person. Why?
Well-mannered, and probably why he got a scholarship, and then went to school and got indoctrinated. I'm not saying that that's true, but there's a huge sentiment in my mind that that's what happens?
He don't know. So the theory is, see, it didn't matter if his dude was white or black. The theory is always going to be the same. I can't blame the black person. So he must have went to college, even though he got straight A's, came from a great family. He must have been indoctrinated.
These people at these universities, there needs to be consequences for indoctrination.
No proof, no evidence. And what I mean by that
What
is
is the definition of indoctrination? Because if you're educating somebody to think outside of a box, why is that called indoctrination?
Not education,
not education,
but indoctrination. That means that when you're in the classroom, and you're supposed to be talking about math, you should be talking about math. Math teachers shouldn't be talking about politics. You at school to teach. I went to my son's school in Washington State.
Math teacher don't about politics. Where'd that come from?
There's no evidence. This is what I'm trying to tell you, Ronin. No, so when you keep saying you're glad it wasn't a black person, it doesn't matter who it was. They're going to go with the narrative that they want anyway. He says this without evidence. It doesn't matter what evidence you have. It doesn't matter that he knows. Was he indoctrinated? He doesn't know.
You went to college. I went to college. I didn't get my degree. You got yours. What is college? The principle behind college is how much information you can obtain in and regurgitate out. Correct?
No, incorrect. That's not really the idea of college. The idea of college is supposed to be able to critically think.
Right. That's what I mean by taking information in and being able to regurgitate it out in a manner that
regurgitating is just repeating what you said. That's not critical thinking. It's supposed to be I'm able to take information in, critically break it down, and then not just repeat it back to you, put it in a way that I've given thought process to it. That I haven't just reconstructed.
I'm just wording it wrong, but that's what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, they're teaching you to critically think while you're in. Oh,
that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to question
indoctrination when that's part of college in the first place.
You're supposed to question things.
Yes.
That's what I assume that college is supposed to be. You're supposed to question the status quo or give thought to it. And
but all of a sudden you go to college and you kill somebody, all of a sudden you've been indoctrinated based on his interpretation.
And that's what I mean by it. So it didn't matter black, white, Asian. These people will always have the story fit their narrative.
Exactly.
So I know we say it wasn't black, but white, now he has to be a liberal Democrat that was indoctrinated by college.
Or trans.
Correct.
Every negative tone you can do. Black, gay, or trans. One of the three.
Well, fellas, this has been fun. I hope you guys watch that fight tonight. Who y'all got for the fight? Put a 1 in the chat for the Mexican. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not racist and you going for
I'm going for the brother.
You going for the brother?
I'm going for Crawford.
Oh man.
I think Canelo's too long in the tooth. And I think it's going to be Crawford.
I don't know, man.
I'm going 2.
No.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, let's see. One came from where you from? Oklahoma, Nebraska, someplace like that. We shall see. Guys, I hope y'all have going for 2. Oh, T Mac.
Yeah. See? Salute at your wife's house all day, bruh. You're gonna have to catch the replay, man. We're about to end this.
Man, so I don't know. T Mac, if he win, I might send you that money back. I just don't.
You putting a little 10 on? You putting a 10 spot on it?
Yeah, I might have to put a 10 spot. I just don't see it. Crawford is good.
I'll take that action. I'll take some of that action.
You want some of that action? You going with the brother? Oh man,
I'll send you a $10 super chat if I lose.
All right. Woo, man. Yeah, but yeah. We shall see. By tomorrow, we shall know. I wish him the best. I just want to see a good fight. See a good fight. I'm happy.
I mean, the last couple fights, if you looked at Canelo's last couple fights, he went into some battles with some people he should have beaten a little easier than he did. You get what I'm saying?
I mean,
Well, Crawford is
Crawford
is devastating people. He's shocking people. Like, God damn, I didn't know that brother was that good. You know, he ain't going in there taking a lot of beatings.
But the thing is, what they've been saying is, who has he fought?
A lot. A lot of people are ducking him, though. That's the whole problem.
No name brand people. No name brand. Shoot, we might come on tonight. Oh, that's too late for you. I was gonna say we might come on and do a live view.
Ain't too late. What time is it? What time is the fight?
It starts at like either 5 or 7. It starts at 7.
That'll be in the morning. I'll be on. I'll be watching.
Might have to do that.
It's on Netflix.
The Crawford is good. He can go from a right hand to a southpaw. You know, that's confusing. So I just hate the Netflix. Last time that fight was on Netflix with Mike Tyson, that pissed me. That made the worst fight, man. I hope that they fix their situation. Buffering all the time. Oh crap.
Yeah, if it's 9 Eastern, man, that's 9 in the morning, bro. I'll be up with my coffee watching that fight. I don't care that it's 1 o'clock in the morning right now. I'll still be up in 8 hours. I don't care.
All right, T-Mac, everyone, man, we wish y'all the best. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get some other subjects going. All right, Ronin, brother, I'll talk to you.
Yes, sir. I'm about to hit this rack.
Later.
Deuces.
Oh, subscribe, and subscribe.
Hit the bell notification and turn it all the way up to all. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Might as well go with my new tagline, but I keep forgetting. The hell.
You need to do your little AI voice thing.
I know. I'm going to do that today. Stay sharp, stay strong, stay fearless. Because you either fearless or you forgotten.
Damn.